This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome back to Live Talk with Dr. B. Hill. Today we're just going to go back to the sort of the beginning. And we have continued guests, Dr. Smith and Josh, Travis, and Samantha will be joining us today. So if anyone wants to ask questions, there's a button in the right hand corner you can use to chat. So we love to answer questions as well. So, Dr. Smith?
Thank you, Chrissy. How are you today?
I am blessed. I hope you are as well.
Always. Travis, Josh,
How
how
you
you
doing,
guys?
Dr. Smith?
All right,
And
Chrissy.
then,
Let's jump into that first graphic, and
All right.
we got some news today about our CLIA certification process, and it's moving along even faster than we had hoped. It's and it's going very, very well. This is a strong DNA test. That's the good news. And that's more than just really good news. If I came back to you guys and said, well, we tried the CLIA certification process and the science was a little weak, but we're going to tweak this and we're going to tweak that and we're going to try it again. But that's not the message that I got today. The message that I got today is that this is looking pretty strong and we might be able to wrap this up even faster than we had anticipated. Now, don't most people have never had exposure to CLIA certification. Okay. Um, it's certainly stronger than having a driver's license to drive. It's even stronger than having a commercial driver's license to drive. It is a powerful milestone. Okay. It means that the science has been looked at in the most rigorous of and has stood up and has stood up. So, Chrissy, when you get a chance, let's put up that first slide.
I, I am trying, but for some reason the go-to meeting isn't letting me put it up. So,
Ah,
yeah, I am still trying though. I thought if I turned my camera off, it might help some, but it's not working.
okay. All right. No problem. No problem whatsoever. We can certainly go through this conversation without the slides. What I wanted to the slide that I wanted to show is um, a 5-step process. That's how I think of what you guys went through. I think of it in 5 steps. Okay. So let me just walk you through the steps. The first thing is you kind of walked into the lion's den. You didn't know it. Nobody told you, and you were prescribed the opioids, and that's an important point. You were prescribed the opioids. You weren't buying them off the street. You were prescribed the opioids, and you didn't know it, but they were doing damage to your DNA. And then when you tried to stop the opioids, suddenly you got this sickness unlike anything you'd ever had before. So the first of the 5 steps is the DNA poisoning. Okay, if you want to get scientific about it, it's genotoxicity. The first of the 5 steps is the poisoning to the DNA. Okay, the second step is you get sick.
right.
You take opioids long enough, you try to stop, you get sick. We've talked about how that sickness is a sickness within, at least the science says, that sickness is a sickness within the nerves. Now, if there's a sickness in the nerve, we have to have a label for that. We call it neurotoxicity, neuro being nerve, toxicity being toxic. So we have a genotoxicity, which is a poisoning to the DNA, followed by neurotoxicity, which is a dysfunction in the nervous system. And then it brings us to the third step. And this third step is where the experts made their mistake. The third step is, and you guys have got to help me with this, because I've written about this several times, and every time I get to that point, I'm struggling for the words. Somehow, that sickness in the nerves, that loss of control of some of the organs, that loss of control of the autonomic nervous system that controls the organs, somehow that turns into a craving for the opioid. Somehow you've learned that if you take an opioid, you'll feel better. How does that process occur? How do you learn that I'm sick, but if I take an opioid, I'll feel better for a while? Or is it just
When you go
trial and error?
when you go through the sickness, like I said before, Josh has said it before, and
Yep.
so has Samantha. Once you've been sick that first time, it instills in your mind that you never want to be sick again. So you know to take the medication so you're
How
no
do
longer
you
ever
know?
sick.
How do you know the medicine would make you feel better?
Because you're sick and then you take the medicine and then you realize you're not sick.
Okay.
Like
All
for me, what
right.
happened to me was when I tried to quit cold turkey. It was like a couple months into doing opioids. A buddy of mine said, "Hey man, you need to slow down. Those things are addictive. You know, they're going to take control of you if you don't watch out." And me being me, I'm like, huh, I ain't letting nothing control me. So I went home that day and literally tried to quit cold turkey. And within, I want to say 8 or 9 hours of not taking any opioids, I think it was literally 8 or 9 hours, I started getting so severely sick. I was like, oh my God, what is this? I was like, is this what's going to happen if I don't take the opioids? And then I took an opioid, and about 20 minutes later, I felt good again. And I was like, oh my God, I can never do that again. And and
Okay.
and from that point on, I was no longer willing to be sick.
All
Yeah.
right. Josh, was that kind of the same thing that happened with
Yes,
you?
sir. Yeah, I agree to that wholeheartedly. I agree to that.
All right. So let me tell you what I heard, and you guys tell me if I heard right.
Right.
You you consciously knew that you were going to try to stop taking the opioids. So it wasn't just that you forgot a dose. You were like, I'm going to cold turkey these things. I'm going to quit taking these things. So
Right.
you already had the expectation that something might happen.
Well, I didn't know I was going to be
Uh,
sick until I quit.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't have any expect. I thought you could just quit.
Yeah,
Honestly, I mean,
that's what I thought. I
Okay,
thought
um,
that,
okay,
okay,
wrong. Okay, then all right. Then I have it wrong in my head. Help me get it right. I don't have it right in my head. Try again. I
so
apologize.
what me and him are trying to say is we had no clue about the sickness until we actually
right,
tried to quit and go cold turkey on these medications. Once we
right.
both tried to go cold turkey and we realized how sick we got, and that if we
Yeah.
took a pill that we weren't no longer sick, that's when the ball game changed for both of us, is what we're both
Yes,
saying.
that's when
Okay.
the light come on for me. Yes. Yeah.
When that happened, what were your thoughts? Did you think, oh my God, I'm an opioid addict?
No, I was like, oh my God, I'm in trouble. I was like, I'm in trouble
Yes.
here.
It scared me, Dr. Doug. I'll be honest with you. I didn't. I was like, something ain't right here.
Yep.
I was
That's
scared.
exactly what happened to me.
Okay. All right. All
Then you
right.
start getting scared. Then you get anxious because you're like, oh my
Yep.
God, am I going to be addicted to these forever? Like,
Yep.
like
Yep.
you just start freaking out.
Yep.
So you didn't think at that point in time you had a mental health problem.
No.
No,
No. I never thought I. No. Mm-mm.
I never did either. That's my whole
No.
point. When I went in there to get that treatment and they were telling me I had to admit this and admit that, I was like, man, I'm not doing this because that's not what's going on here. Like,
No.
I physically get sick if I don't take these, like physically. So what they're saying is wrong. Like, I mean,
100% wrong.
So Travis, I heard you say, oh no, I'm in trouble now. That's what went through your head?
yes,
Yes.
literally, I remember it. When I got sick, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm in trouble now." Like, because of what my friend had just told me, and then I tried to quit that day. 8 hours in, and I'm like this severely sick. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm in trouble." Like I just
Yep.
How,
knew I was. Like I knew I was going to be in trouble.
Yep.
what's it like as you go into that sickness? What to the best of your ability, what does that feel like?
Death feels like
Yeah.
you're death. So it feels like you're suffering and you are going to die.
Yes. Yes. It starts with getting sick, like not vomiting, but nauseous.
Stomach
I
hurts, stomach
I
pains.
started.
Yep.
Yep. Started had stomach pains. I started sweating. And then I had chills all of a sudden.
Watery
Uh,
eyes, watery nose,
I
all that.
Yeah, the watery eyes deal. Yeah, I mean, my wife thought I was crying.
The
like, I'm
nose
not
never
trying.
keeps, the nose
Yeah.
just drips. I mean, it'll drip for
Yeah.
days. It'll just
Yeah.
like a running water faucet, just doop, doop, doop,
Yeah.
doop, doop, doop,
Does
just
it
drip.
make sense that since the nerve going to these different organ systems lost control, that the organ system itself lost control?
I would
Yeah, that
agree to
makes sense
that.
to me.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that does make sense?
No,
No, there really
there's
No.
isn't.
nothing else that makes sense other than what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
The
Hey,
mental,
Sam.
all
Hey,
that
Sam.
mental stuff. I mean,
Hey,
I
sorry,
see
Mike.
what they're saying. Like when it comes to other drugs, they might have a choice. But when it comes to opioids, once you
Mm-mm.
are addicted and it's in your bloodstream, you do not have a choice. You either
Correct.
take the medication or you stay sick. And when I
Right.
mean sick, you're going to be sick, buddy. So you
Yep.
better watch out. Like you won't be able to get out of bed. You're not going to be able to
Nope.
do anything. You're not going to be able to
Nope.
function. You're not going to be able to talk to anybody because you are going to be sick. I mean, physically, emotionally, mentally, you are sick all the way around the board.
You're
And
just a lump.
the first time it happened, you were caught by surprise.
Correct.
Yes, I
Yes.
was. Yeah.
I was too.
Surprised
Couldn't
by
figure
what?
out what was going on.
Surprised by the sickness because I didn't realize
Yeah.
that that was going to happen.
The severity of it?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
Sam, we're
was.
talking about the first time we ever got sick when we
Yeah.
realized that if you came off the opioids, that you would
Yeah.
get very severely sick.
I actually, the first time that it happened to me, I actually went to my doctor because I thought I had the flu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I hurt all over.
Yeah. That's
It
pretty.
was
That's a
every
good.
symptom of the flu is what I had.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
he gave me medicine to treat me for the flu.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
it's like a flu on steroids.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah.
flu on
Absolutely.
steroids, if you
Yeah.
can imagine that.
And here's the kicker to that. When I took the flu medicine, it made me feel so much worse.
I
I
bet it
felt
did.
horrible.
I
So
bet
I
it did.
went back to the doctor and
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
what is going on?
Sam.
I was so it was just so weird.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. So wait a minute now. All right. Okay, guys, I apologize, but you know, we're a good group, and part of what makes us good is honesty. And
Yes.
no, I don't really understand what you guys must have gone through. I don't understand it at all. The and quite frankly, if I don't, I'm going to assume other people don't either. And see,
Sure.
this is the heart of where the mistake was made. The mistake was made because
Mhm.
the experts saw what you did, you took more opioids, and the experts concluded you were an opioid addict.
Right.
Okay, based upon your behavior. You went and you started buying opioids on the street. So based
Absolutely.
upon that behavior, the conclusion was, oh wow, they are opioid addicts. But yet, what's coming through here is this picture of, I've heard the word surprise. I haven't heard the word shocked. You weren't shocked by what happened.
I
You
was
could
when
say
I thought
that
I had the
too.
I
flu and I
Shock's
was.
a
really
good word.
didn't.
Yeah. I didn't say
Shock's
that.
a good word.
Great word.
Yeah.
Shock
Shocked is a good
is
word.
a great word.
It was that surprising.
Correct.
Yes, it was that
I'll tell
surprising
you
when you
when shock hit me. Shock, Dr. Doug, was when I got a domestic assault charge. That was when I was shocked because I knew something like that was never possible for me. So that was when shock hit me. Not saying that it didn't ever hit me in other ways, but because that was kind of my last little leg. So when it came down to that, that was when I guess maybe shock really hit me from
let
all
me
of
ask
that.
you this. Let me ask you guys this. Do you think someone would willingly, like, let me ask you this. Okay, they always told me I had a choice, right? Well,
Hmm.
I had a story, one night where I couldn't find any opioids. I went out into the ghetto on the west side of Charlotte and I was trying to buy drugs from all these people I did not know, and I ended up getting beat
Uh-huh.
up and robbed.
Hmm.
Does that sound like someone that has a choice? And then right after I got robbed, I still tried to find more medicine. So here, I
Absolutely, you
just
did.
got beat up. I just got robbed. As soon as I get out of the hospital, I go right back out, not to the same place, but I still go look for medicine. To me,
Well,
that
because
doesn't
on
seem
your
like,
way to the hospital, you're thinking, gosh, now here I'm so sick and I had to get robbed and beat up on the way to get unsick.
oh, I was trying to say
And all
anything I
you're
could
thinking
for,
about in your mind is that you've got to get that medicine any way that
yeah.
you're going to get your medicine, you
And I was
know?
thinking in the ambulance, like, okay, well, maybe if I tell them I'm hurting enough, that they'll give me
Yeah.
They'll
morphine or
give you
something.
something.
But
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
never did. They never
Yeah.
did. So
No.
as
Well,
soon as I got out of the hospital, I was trying right back to go find more after I just got
Hmm.
beat up and robbed.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, that doesn't
That
sound like
doesn't sound
people
like a choice.
no.
a
No,
choice.
No,
It's
you don't
not a
have a
choice. I'm
choice.
telling you.
The
no.
choice was took away. The choice was took away from us.
It
Our
changes
choices was took
I
everybody.
away.
It,
think the choice was took away when we were denied informative, whatever that was.
Information. Yep.
I was trying to
When
remember
no,
what we
no.
were supposed to be using here.
Informative consent.
yeah.
Yes,
Isn't that?
Yeah.
that's it. Informative consent.
That.
When
Yeah.
that was took, when we were denied that, I think that's when they said we don't have a choice anymore.
All right,
Absolutely.
hang on, guys. Hang on, hang on. Okay, I I I apologize for being the broken record today.
No,
Okay, but
okay.
it is that moment that I think is going to. Let me rephrase that. I didn't phrase that well.
Okay.
And by the way, that's one of the things that doing this podcast with you guys, I think it helps all of us find the words we want to use.
Hmm.
Okay, so um, that moment. Let me phrase it this way. I can't. All right. Okay. Let me start simply. That moment represented some type of a turning point in your life.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You remember that moment.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You never forget it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that moment pivotal?
Very.
Absolutely.
Okay. So one of the things that the medical community has missed is the importance of that moment.
Hmm.
Right.
And
Okay.
can I also make a point, Dr. Smith? I sent you a video, and I know it was a.
Wouldn't play. Wouldn't
It,
play. I live too
okay,
far out in
well,
the country.
I'll get it again and I'll send it. But I've been watching all these videos with all these old talk host shows, and a lot of them about drug addicts, specifically opioid users. And no one seems to be listening to none of these people because every single person that they ask, why are you continuing to use? Why are you doing this? They all say, I'm scared to be sick. I'm
Hmm.
scared of the sickness. And
Hmm.
then their response is, well, I don't care what you're scared of. This is your choice. They're
All right.
not listening. They're
Hold
not
right.
listening to the
Hold
people.
right there. Hold right
Hmm.
there. What role does the pivotal moment play in that scenario, Travis?
Because they're doing this, the same things that they're doing is the same things I was doing, and I was doing them because I was scared to be sick. I was willing to do anything I could to keep my medicine so I could take my medicine because I was so scared of being
But
sick.
it was,
Does
because you were
does it relate
denied
back to
informative
a specific
consent
moment?
about being sick.
Oh no, wait,
Does
I
it
got two
relate
people.
back to a
I'm
specific
sorry.
moment? Is that first episode the pivotal moment of which everything that follows flows back to that first moment when you were shocked?
Yes, yes, yes. Everything flows back to that first moment because if I would have
Yeah.
never ever got sick, I would have never done half the crap I ever did, and it would have
Right.
been easy to get off the opioids. If you never had that sickness, I could have got off the opioids. But
Yeah.
that
Guys,
Yep.
sickness keeps you
we
from
need a
getting
we
clean.
need a name for this moment. I mean, what you're describing here is a clinical syndrome that's never been described before.
Right. I
Okay.
agree.
And then
We
here's something else. You've got, when you go through that sickness, because there is people that has went to rehab before and got clean, they always go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You relapse, and I was always told, oh, relapse is part of recovery. Well, knowing now what I wish I knew then, what I know now, that it's kind of really not recovery, because I mean, it is recovery, but it shouldn't have been recovery then, because they don't even know that you don't have a choice.
All right,
Yeah,
all
Or
right.
and they don't
that
even
you
know
didn't have a
that
choice.
Let me throw this
They don't
question.
even know the whole truth.
Let me throw this
they're not
question.
treating it right. They're not
I
going about it
Right.
the right way.
Right.
I'm still stuck on that pivotal moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what I just heard was, if that pivotal moment had never happened, all the bad stuff that followed never would have happened.
Right.
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 Sure.
Do you remember where you were when it happened?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I do.
Wow.
I was at home. So basically, this is what I'm saying, Dr. Smith. If I would have never got sick that first time, I would have
Yep.
never had an opioid problem, because while I
Nope.
was
Right.
trying to get clean from the opioids, I would have succeeded. If that
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
sickness would have never happened, I would have got off
Yes.
the opioids. The only reason that I
Yes.
didn't get off the opioids that week is because I got so sick. I realized I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't work. I couldn't take care of my family. I couldn't function. I couldn't do
Yep.
anything without
Yep.
continuing to take these opioids.
Mm-hmm.
So I popped an opioid in my mouth. I got well, and I went back to my life because I had no
And
other choice.
it's not just a day sickness. You know, this is gonna be sickness that lasts and lasts
Yeah.
and lasts. It's
Travis,
not
Yeah,
even
it's
a
gonna
2 or 3
last for
day
at least a
sickness.
week or two. Like you're
Yeah,
gonna be
it's
sick
not
for a
even
week
a
or
2 or
two.
3 day.
Travis, you remember way back when, you know, when back when our younger days, we stopped smoking pot. You stopped. There was no withdrawals. There was
Mm-hmm.
nothing. You just stopped.
Yeah, no withdrawals off weed, no
Nothing.
nothing off of weed. You can just
Nothing.
quit smoking weed.
But opioids,
He's right
boom, yeah.
about that.
Yep.
Yep, he's right
Totally.
about that. He's right
Totally.
about that.
Here's
No,
what,
no withdrawals, no nothing.
as
Wow.
a clinician, let me tell you what's really standing out here. Okay, I'm talking to 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of you are expressing a shared similar experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And one of the hallmarks of that experience, there are 2 hallmarks that are coming out very clearly from that experience. Number 1 is you remember it. You remember where you were, what you were doing. Number 2, your behavior changed after it.
Absolutely.
Wow. Guys, this is,
And it's kind of weird because, you know, I can't remember periods of my lifetime, but I can tell you all about that day.
that
Oh,
day.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
weird.
or you know, I might have parts of my life blocked out, or where I have blocked those memories out, or those few years or something, but I can tell you all about, and that lies right in the middle of all that.
Okay,
Right.
I've
So,
got one
you
more
know,
question. I've got one more question, then I promise for the remainder of the show, I will stay mostly quiet. It's hard for me when
it's
we're on
okay.
a break
We like
like
your
this.
input. I don't
Yeah.
think you understand that. We like your input.
Okay. So you guys already know this question is coming because we've worked together long enough. You know this question is coming. So let me
Okay.
go ahead and throw it out there, because there's no way we're going to close this show today without asking this question. Okay, you
Okay.
remember the moment. It is burned into your brain. It's seared into your memory.
Hmm.
What was the role of epinephrine toxicity in the persistence of that memory?
Wow.
I think there's a
I,
big
I
role in
mean,
it because
I
when you're
believe
in
it's a
withdrawal,
it's
major,
monumental.
yeah,
It's
monumental.
monumental.
That's a great word for it.
yeah, when you're in withdrawal, you're in epinephrine toxicity. So I
Yep.
mean,
Hmm.
We
it's
know that now. We know that now. Thank you, sir.
yeah, yeah. Thanks to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks
But
for
Thank
laying your
you.
life there on the line.
Yeah.
so
Yep.
but yeah, I mean, it plays a big role in it, and I think that's why we all got that memory, you know, kind of binded to our subconscious because it was such a powerful moment in our life, physically, mentally, emotionally. You're never gonna forget that.
Right.
But for me, and I think for both of them as well, that's where it all changed for me that day. Like I
Yes.
was willing to do whatever
What
it took.
changed? What changed? I'm hearing 2 changes. Number
From
1,
that day on, I was willing to do whatever it took not to be sick. And I
so
mean whatever
a
it took.
change in behavior.
Yes, it changes your whole attitude. You are no longer going to be willing to be without your medicine because
Okay.
you know the
I,
consequence.
Then you know what the next question is. Just like we asked, what is the role of epinephrine in the persistence and the power of that memory? And is that memory a form of PTSD? The next question is, what's the role of epinephrine toxicity or catecholamine toxicity or adrenaline toxicity or whatever you want to call it? What's the role of that adrenaline toxicity in the change in your behavior?
okay,
That's a tough
I
one.
think,
Yeah.
okay, where you said, where's the role in epinephrine and canic? Is that a cause of PTSD? Is that what you said?
One of the hallmarks, we don't know that much about epinephrine, but one of the hallmarks
Mm-hmm.
is it creates an avoidance cycle. Whatever you
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
did calls the epinephrine. Okay, I am the world's greatest expert at finding yellow jacket nests because my
Right.
dog stepped on one in 1965 and they tore me apart.
Oh.
Right.
Okay, ate me alive. I remember my
Mm.
mom throwing me in the bathtub and the hornets were crawling in the water. I'll never forget that.
Oh
Why
Oh
was
my
gosh.
gosh.
that? Because of the epinephrine surge that I got.
Right.
Right.
And so I can't walk in the woods without changing my behavior and I'm
Mm-hmm.
excellent at finding yellow jacket
On
nests.
high alert.
Fight or
Right.
flight.
Right.
Fight or flight. That's why we
Right.
don't forget it because it's that
Yeah.
fight or flight
Mm-hmm.
pivotal moment in our life
Yeah.
that we just won't forget.
I
It's
I
in
don't
your
I don't mean
subconscious
to
forever.
trivialize I don't mean to trivialize what you guys went through, but that moment when I was 5 years old and was attacked by 200 yellow jackets was a pivotal moment in my life, and it's a
Right.
memory I remember almost stronger than any other memory. And I'm sitting here, I'm doing my best to relate with you guys on the level of the epinephrine surge. Because if you remember that memory the way I remember my
Mm-hmm.
memory is this persistent, just insane fear of
Mm-hmm.
stepping on a yellow jacket net.
Right.
Right.
It's a fear, and it
Yes.
changed my behavior.
Yeah.
Any traumatic
Mm-hmm.
experiences have that adrenaline epinephrine surge,
Yeah.
that fight or flight, like you say. That's why you never forget
Yeah.
anything that ever happens to you like that. You never forget it. It's always in your mind because of that epinephrine surge. And
Yeah.
and
So
and I think if
the
you really
reason I
think
was
about it,
asking you how you asked that question was because I think that the adrenaline will almost help cause PTSD. You know what I mean? I think you can, it could, because if you have so many
I believe it
surges of
does.
it through your whole life, I absolutely think that can cause it too. I mean, I get it. I'm
Well,
I've been
if y'all want to
diagnosed with
talk about that,
PTSD, so I can't figure out whether it's the epinephrine or
if
the,
y'all want to talk about that
you know,
tomorrow, that whether what you guys, whether or not the change in behavior is related to a type of PTSD.
yeah,
yes,
Okay. Okay.
I'm willing to
yes,
bet
I'll tell you right up front. I'm convinced it is. If you want to talk me
okay.
out of it, good luck, because I'm
Yeah,
convinced.
right, right, me too.
I'm convinced, and let me tell you why I'm convinced. I am talking to three normal people.
yes.
Okay, you guys could be in my family. Okay, I'm talking to three normal people who I've really developed a respect for,
Yeah.
and
thank you,
yet,
Dr. Smith.
Thank
and
you,
yet,
Thank
doctor.
you, doctor.
and yet, I look at what you went through. It must be PTSD because there's no other explanation for it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we'll talk about tomorrow. Wow.
Dr. Doug or Dr. Smith, I'm sorry.
Dr. Doug is fine. That's all right.
Okay. Well, either way, I bet you I don't have a lot of money, but every bit of money I have in my checking account, that every person that is honest with themselves can say when they tried to come off of this, they had that shock and awe feeling. Oh
Oh,
no,
absolutely.
that like Travis described, like I described,
Mhm.
just like Samantha described. I'm willing
Mhm.
to bet. I'm not a betting man, but I'm willing to put everything on the line to say
Yeah.
they had
Oh
that
yeah.
and it's burned in their brain.
Mhm.
When we start tomorrow, can you guys each go through your story again? I want to listen
Yeah,
again.
sure.
And
Yes.
Josh, Josh, I'm not taking that bet.
Yeah, that's a
He
win-win
knows
for
he'll
you,
lose.
Josh.
I'm not
Yeah,
taking that bet. I'm not going to give you my money. There's no way you can win that bet.
right.
Right.
I
All right.
was just,
So before
that's how I'm making how serious it is. I
Right
believe it
before
that
Chrissy
much.
kicks us off, I have to tell y'all the reason I was late. So this weekend, I have talked to the lady in my community that I was telling y'all had a lot of pull in the community and stuff. I have a meeting with her tomorrow to talk to my whole county about the methylation and the DNA damage too.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
Wow.
this is
Boy,
gonna be
That's cool.
crazy, but
boss does
we're
not
gonna
grow on
go
me.
for it, and so we'll see how this goes. I have a meeting with her tomorrow, right after our meeting, so we
You
can
go,
talk about it a
girl.
bit more tomorrow. But yeah, it's gonna be great. I'd
Right.
never
Yes.
do anything like this before I was a part of this, so I'm a little nervous about it, but
You got it.
I think it's
You
gonna
got
go
it.
good.
Just let us know how
Yeah,
it goes.
I
Yeah.
definitely will.
Absolutely.
Definitely will.
Are
Bringing
you gonna
awareness
explain? You're
to
gonna
the community.
are you gonna explain to the community about the methylation
Yes,
toxicity and all that? That's pretty
yes.
cool,
So
man.
I've
That's pretty
been
cool.
writing stuff down and making notes and researching stuff all weekend. So
Sam,
That
if you
is
want to call me,
awesome.
Awesome.
if you want to call me and go through your speech, I'll listen and critique.
Yeah, I was gonna
I don't
say
know about
if
that now.
if
I'm
you don't
just
feel
kidding.
comfortable
We're
with him,
just
you could
having,
call me.
I'm just having a little meeting with her tomorrow just to come up with
Okay.
a day to do it. That's not going to be with the county, so I may actually take you up on that.
Okay. We'll help.
Because
Tomorrow's
I
just with
have his
her.
brain up here because he instilled it in my mind for like the first couple of months. So I literally have everything up
Hey,
here.
I'll run it by both of y'all.
Okay.
All right. That being said, guys, that will be an interesting conversation. I can't wait. So, thank you so much for joining us with Dr. B. Hill, who should be returning tomorrow. So,
Yay.
All
y'all have a
right.
blessed day and make sure you join us every Monday through Thursday, 12:30 to 1. Have a great day.
Happy
Later.
holidays.